Welcome back to another video from BikeLock Wiki. As you may have seen from the title of this video, we'll be continuing the destruction testing of the ABUS Bordo 6000 and the Foldylock Compact Mini with nut splitter and angle grinder testing. If you haven't already, make sure to watch part 1 of this comparison using the link here. First up, we have the nut splitter test, which I bought a brand new nut splitter for. So that the nut splitter could pass cleanly through the plates of either folding lock, I cut it down into a thin wedge using my angle grinder. The Bordo 6000 up first, and this was my first time using this specific nut splitter, so I was learning the best way to use it on the fly. As you can see, I didn't extend the top pressure plate, so got roughly halfway through the rivet before having to remove and readjust the nut splitter. Due to the lack of rivet protection on this folding lock, the cutting wedge slid through the 6000's rivet fairly easily, but still took some effort. After readjusting the nut splitter, I was quickly able to make the cut. The total cutting time for the Bordo 6000 was 6 minutes and 18 seconds, not including the time taken to readjust the nut splitter. Bear in mind, as previously stated, that this was my first time using the nut splitter, which probably did impact the time taken. As you can see here, the Bordo 6000's rivet features no protective measures, leaving it exposed to various methods of attack. Now the Mini's up next, which I attempted to cut 2 times. The first time round, my cutting wedge became stuck on one of the Mini's protective washers or spring, and it got to the point where I was tightening the nut splitter, but the cutting blade wasn't moving, so I reset and tried again on a new rivet to see if I could be beaten. Starting the next cut, I knew what I was doing and made good progress through the Mini's armour. The further I got, the harder it became to tighten, so please excuse my huffing and puffing. Eventually the rivet gave way with much more force than the Bordo 6000's and actually flew up and hit the workshop roof. Upon closer inspection, I realised my nut splitter had broken in the process, which is a pain as it was brand new, but it clearly showcases the force required to defeat the Foldylock's rivet protection, which you can clearly see here. The total cutting time for the Mini was 5 minutes 41 seconds, taking slightly less time than the Bordo 6000. But don't forget that it survived my initial cutting attempt and the fact that it required much more strength to cut overall. The thin metal washers you can see here are designed to prevent the Mini from stiffening up over time and stop it from squeaking whilst the lock's in use, unlike the Bordo 6000, which is fairly stiff and squeaky out of the box. Next up, we have angle grinder testing, and to be totally honest, almost every bike lock on the market can be compromised with one of these, apart from a small group which use anti-grind technology and are therefore much more expensive than your average bike lock. Unlike other reviewers, I also like to use the actual tools that these will be utilising. So here I'm using a Makita cordless 18-volt grinder with 125mm cutting discs, rather than a mains-powered grinder which have much higher torque than their cordless counterparts. I made the first successful cut through the Bordo 6000 in 9 seconds, and the second cut, as you can see here, in 10 seconds. The Mini took slightly longer, with 13 seconds for the initial cut and 16 seconds for the second cut, resisting slightly longer than the Bordo 6000, which may suggest that it uses higher quality steel plates. My bulk cutter test also suggested the same thing, as I was able to cut through the Bordo 6000, but after 2 long attempts, the Mini repeatedly pushed the blades of my bulk cutters apart. If you haven't watched my full comparison video of these 2 locks, click the link at the end of the video for that. Otherwise, that's it for this video. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you value the security of your bike and want to stay up to date with the latest bicycle security content. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.